Welcome back, my Quake cuties. We are getting revved up to head into the second series of the night. Fresh off the back of CNZ taking on base, we move into something special. The Australian All-Star of ZenAku, Harry, goes head-to-head against DJ dramiS himself.
Yes, both these players at the bottom of the table in the Americas region, so it's a must-win for both of them. And the thing is, though, we will start with ZenAku as a good example for his storyline because of the fact that he was doing really well, especially in Season 1, Stage 4. He was making huge progress. He was definitely making a lot of changes in his gameplay to make him the player that he is. But now things have changed up just a little bit. It seems like he's lost a bit of confidence. It's a bit unsure on certain plays. And when you've got a lot of uncertainty in your mind, it can affect your aim skill. And we've seen that quite a lot in the past with a few of these players. But with ZenAku, he needs to be sure of himself now. He needs to make sure he closes out these maps because there's been so many situations where, he has the lead or, he's tying things up, but kind of gets a little bit overzealous, a bit over aggressive. Sometimes he doesn't make the right moves. Sometimes he can be a little bit, I wouldn't say unorthodox, but a little bit more predictable, which is a bit unheard of. But against a player like dramiS, you need to try and adapt as best as you can. dramiS is known for his passive style and how defensive he plays, but is also a player who can definitely change up, like we saw base do earlier. He can switch on when necessary, when the scoreline isn't in his favor. But he's another player who also chooses the same paths, the same routes on a lot of these maps. So again, dramiS is another player where you need to do a lot of research on in order to actually try and figure out what exactly he's up to.
Yeah, I mean, it's also quite unfair, really, as well, because obviously ZenAku, he cheats in every game he plays. He brings those extra 2 big guns. I don't know how he's gotten away with it for so long. It's ridiculous, Harry, pulling out the big guns daily. Let's have a look at the picks and bans, though, and see who will actually be rocking when we get into this game. There they are, of course, 2 lovely members of the Quake community, dramiS and ZenAku, both great guys inside and outside of the game. But in terms of the game at hand, we look at what we've got with the maps. To start us off, we're going into Ruins of Sarnath, following up with Deep Embrace. All right, I'm liking the look of this, actually, Harry. This is pretty sick in my mind. Deep Embrace, straight into Awoken. That's going to be carnage. This looks like a hype series.
It certainly is indeed. Even with those 2 maps, I think ZenAku has the advantage on Deep Embrace and Awoken. I know it's a very good map pick for him. He prefers the smaller, map geometry, but then again, he favors the larger champions. But we haven't really seen much of that. You see, dramiS has banned the Scale Bearer straight away, but has banned the Nyx on Awoken just in case he's up to no good. But then again, ZenAku does have to kill, so any narrow corridors, especially with the pineapples, he can definitely take charge, especially contesting that heavy later on. And even then, the strong versus the Athena on Deep Embrace, especially with the Athena and the verticality on that, I'm interested to see what ZenAku has up his sleeve. But for Awoken, it is definitely one of ZenAku's better maps, and I hope he takes advantage of it this time around because this is huge for him. But you can't forget the wide variety of strategies you can use for the speed and mobility of the slash on Ruins. It's definitely going to be a close one. I can't really decide or predict who's going to take this because I think it depends more on what kind of ZenAku we're going to see. But dramiS has had a few good games recently, but it's just that only the last 2 opponents he's been more on form. So if there's a time to continue that form, dramiS needs to do it now. I think that was against, if I look right, I think that was against Maxter and Dewey. And against a player like Dewey, you have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to learn what your opponent's up to early on in order to take advantage and try and take him out on that map and throughout the series. So I think dramiS is in a better spot in terms of form. ZenAku, it depends what we're going to get on the day here.
It does. Ironic as really as well that the second map in this series is Deep Embrace, Harry. The last time I actually saw dramiS in person, we were in the toilets at the hotel in Katowice.
Players, they don't want to be in relegation. It's the last thing they want. And for ZenAku especially, after all the work and effort and time he's put in, even dramiS, even though dramiS took a little bit longer to improve, it was steady and it gradually did improve over time. But ZenAku's made such huge progress, and then now he seems a little bit uncertain of himself. But the pressure on both of these players is unreal. They could both get relegated, only one of them possibly, but this series is going to make a huge amount of difference. I'm not too sure if both these players have a game in hand or maybe not. I'm not really too sure. I have to check back on that later. But these 2 need to win this series, and there are going to be a lot of nerves riding on this.
Yeah, there is. It's genuinely quite a close affair. If you think in terms of the actual mental game that's going into it, both of them know they need to win and they need to turn up, which is hopefully one of the reasons why I think this should be a pretty quality free mapper, because they're both going to be going into it full focus, full mindset, maximum effort. Looks like we're kicking it off though. We're heading into our first map to start things here. It's the second series of the day for week 12. ZenAku taking on dramiS. This should be a tasty affair. Get yourself strapped in for this one, as I can only imagine they're going to be hitting full throttle from the opening moment. Pineapples flying through the air. Oh, but it's the main man, dramiS, that's doing the damage. Look how low ZenAku is instantly into this round. Oh, the rail pulled out. dramiS, that's not acceptable, Harry. A kill on the board in 24 seconds.
That was naughty, and he's coming in with the LG2. And ZenAku, oh, a lovely rail there. He's going to try and follow that if possible. And he just barely missed as he's trying to contest that Mega, which he does manage to grab. dramiS hoping to get that heavy. Oh, the LG there from dramiS was absurd. But even though ZenAku wasn't really strafing, at least he got a huge chunk of damage from him. As looking to get that health bubble and the LG just to add the weapons into his arsenal. dramiS still got a much heavier stack, and ZenAku knows that. He needs to be really careful about where he wants to go. And dramiS is already behind him. He's going to take a slightly different route, and about 36 damage there from him, but the LG still follows through. And look at that, dramiS already with a 2-0 lead. dramiS knows that he needs to do everything he can to win this series. And again, he's been so aggressive. The LG comes in, the rail, the first one hits. Wasn't really looking for the second as he prioritised the heavy, and is going to try and catch him off guard, but misses that rail.
ZenAku pulling out the barge pole, trying to keep dramiS at arm's length. Ooh. But ZenAku might have his arms blown off, Harry, actually. Ooh. That could probably be said about dramiS. Look how low he is. He's got to get out of there. Plasma trail, left. There's a snail trail behind him as he'll slime his way out of that awkward fight. Stays alive. Good use from the rockets as well to bounce ZenAku up in the air, getting trapped in the awkward corridor. Dips down just as heavy comes up. He played it smart, actually. He held on the lip, looking to see if ZenAku would fully commit to the chase. If he did, that's a nice 90 coming out with the railgun. Then you drop back, get the vest, picking up that heavy, and you would have had a huge lead when it comes to stack. Instead, ZenAku doesn't commit off the back of it, doesn't give him that opportunity. dramiS obviously leading at this point as well. 2 frags up, and both major items into this rotation.
dramiS is looking so good right now. Looking at the damage count, it looks like dramiS is doubling ZenAku's damage, and the rails have been very good as well. Only 38%, but considering all the drive-bys he's been doing, it's definitely made up for it. As dramiS is just holding on to the Mega for now, knows that ZenAku is coming up. Not too much damage, but the rail is made up for it in terms of that rocket miss earlier, but he's picked up the Mega again, and he's going to just catch him off guard. He's got the stack too. If he keeps chasing him up, he might be right here. Another huge chunk of damage from the... Oh, and the rail as well here, Jack, as he picks up the light and decides to restack. But ZenAku, even though he's got the heavy, he hasn't really got much HP. It's just seeing if he's actually gone back down to the heavy, which he hasn't. He's actually gone bottom mid, but if he hit that rail, definitely could have caught him off guard, but he needs to get away here. He's only on 20 HP. Barely got away with his life, but will he be able to flank him? I'm not really too sure.
3 minutes and 15 on the clock. dramiS 2 frags up. Very low when it comes to stack. Lucky though. Whew, that was a close encounter. If that rail would have hit, he would have been on death's door. Instead, he stays alive and moving, sliding around quite quickly here to build himself back up. Obviously, on a light champion, you need to focus on hoovering up as many of those items as physically as possible to actually give yourself a fighting chance against this keel that ZenAku's rocking. Obviously, a heavy champion, he gets a lot of opportunities to make mistakes that can't be made on the light champ of dramiS. Look how low he is. 20 HP. Has to get out of there. Skirting around on the underbelly. Barely evading ZenAku. Hits him right on the nose, though, with the rocket, and actually bops him off the ledge, buying himself a nice amount of time, Harry.
So many directs have saved him so much. Look at that. 85 from that angle. And he saw there as well that ZenAku was kind of walking to see if he can see where dramiS is coming from, to see if he's contesting that Mega, but he's been perfectly fine anyway. He was on 55 HP. dramiS could use this opportunity to do a little bit more damage and contest that heavy, which he has done. Does hit that first rail, seeing if he does come up the jump pads and try and rocket him off, but doesn't seem to be. As dramiS decides to go for the light. ZenAku Picks up the heavy, but where is ZenAku going to go from here? He needs to take advantage of this. He needs to get some height as well. He's been on low ground so much. There's not really too much he could have done, but the first wicket comes in. Hasn't really done anything, and the tri-bolt hasn't fed enough information for dramiS here. Just wait and see what he's going to do. But dramiS has picked up that mega, and he's taken a little bit of damage from those shots.
Past the halfway point, and it's still the 2-frag lead for dramiS. That's what he's been driving home this entire time. And this is where dramiS really does thrive as well. When he's able to play with the momentum and the sheer speed of a champion like Slash. When you can go flying around the corners and make it so awkward for ZenAku to close the gap. Talking of closing the gap though, he spots him, but the plasma trail denies it. He didn't expect the double back. dramiS swinging his way out, peeking on the corridor and trying to set up ZenAku on a date with the coroner, but he couldn't capitalize. That love tap certainly will do some damage though, especially when he finds the follow-up as well. Switches to the LG, commits him to the ground, and that's the 3rd frag found. Beautiful play from dramiS there.
That was ridiculous. I think ZenAku was a little bit predictable there too. You saw that after he hit that rail, dramiS thought he's probably going to get the jump pad, and he actually did go up there. Not fully up, but enough to have a field of view and be able to hit that 2nd rail and then clean him up with the LG. Contesting the heavy again, dramiS certainly right has to. The LG just coming for both of these players, but dramiS has the advantage in terms of the hitbox, but it's backed away anyway. He's only on 45 HP. ZenAku's LG was flawless during that engagement, but it's picked up the light. It's not available anymore, but both players are going to try and pick up that mega, but I think dramiS has said, nope, you can have it. We'll let you have it. I'll fight for the next one, and decides to restack on what he can find on the outskirts of the map.
Yeah, sometimes you have to do your best Henry Hoover impression and just suck up all of the smaller items and leave the big items for the big boys, because Keel at this point, he's got enough weight to swing around that he can afford to just walk into heavy, pick it up, and know that dramiS won't run the risk of contesting. He's at least keeping himself in the contest, though. Hitting lovely rails to bring ZenAku back down to earth. They were quite close in terms of stack overall, but ZenAku grabbing the mega, puts himself into a great spot, but this really is a horrendous position to be in now. Rail after rail coming out. dramiS so close to finishing him off and putting himself on 4 kills. It's the trade, Harry. Oh, he'll fall over. He'll go down. But in the end, it leaves them in the exact same position. 3 frags for dramiS, nothing on the board for ZenAku.
Oh, as if that happened as well. And dramiS has the... Oh, the LGs are coming in. ZenAku gets that first frag. But dramiS, remember, he's got the mobility and the speed off to Slash. If he needs to get away from a certain scenario or make preparations to go a different route, ZenAku's going on, then he certainly can. Look at the stack difference. It is absolutely huge. ZenAku knows that he's going to try and contest that light, which he has done. Hit a beautiful rail there. Is he going to at least try and go for the second one? It looks like ZenAku has decided to flank and contest this mega instead. He can drop for the heavy if he wants to straight afterwards. Just having a look around to see if he's on the top light. He's not there. Is he going to push for the rockets? It seems like dramiS is going to play the waiting game. He's just going to be not as careless as he once was, just be a bit more cautious on what he wants to do in terms of his motives. But ZenAku, look at his stack. He could do anything he wants right now, even take a direct and a rail and still possibly push in, but it's have to see what he wants to do here. As dramiS, tried to do a little bit of chip damage there, which is good, but he needs to do a lot more than that if he wants to try and get away. But he's doing the right thing, just keeping him back, keeping him at bay, doing some damage, keep him guessing, wonder what he's actually doing. But the damage from these rockets, even after that mega, was disgusting. And even now, ZenAku has got the heavy, but he hasn't got the time. He's only got 1 minute and 20 left here, Jay.
And what is his modus operandi into this last minute and 20 seconds? What's the play going to be? As he has to find a frag now, effectively, to give himself a really good fighting chance. But he gets fragged. Close range encounter. The rocket barrage will detonate directly above him. He'll be left lifeless as a dead heavy champion here on the first map. And it seems like his dream of getting back into this game is dead. It died with it. But dramiS, at this point, he's already dead. You don't need to do these crazy things. The railgun pulled out. That's a show-stopping kill. 5-1, Harry. It's over. It's been put to bed.
It certainly has. He needs to have a day off, I think, at this point in time. He's just hitting every rail. There we go. There's a second. Will it be a third? He doesn't get it, but will he even try and attempt it? No, he won't. It's going to clean him up nicely and extend his lead to 6-1. The thing is, though, Jack, this is a statement already. Like, I was talking about before where dramiS has been on form only recently in the last 2 matches, and that was against, if I have a look here, it was against Maxter and Dewey. And they're 2 opponents, you know, are very, very difficult. Dewey's the kind of opponent you need to strongly adapt to, and Maxter is super aggressive and you need to try and put him in check. And I think after those 2 wins, it makes you realise that the on-form dramiS we have, it's going to give ZenAku a little bit of trouble, and it has done, as you can see from there. 6-2 in favour of dramiS, and this is a thing of things to come, we'll have to see. Sorry, 8-2, and you can see, look at the damage as well, like nearly 2100 damage difference and 23 items pick up for ZenAku as well. That is absurd, but that's a huge amount of map presence there from dramiS.
It's rough, dude. Like, he got played. He got played hard. dramiS just went in, absolutely gaming there. Clean rails, clean shots coming out, outmaneuvering when it came to a lot of the movement as well, and just left ZenAku in such an awkward position where he struggled to get back into the game. First map, in what is quite an unorthodox encounter there, in the battle between heavy versus light. In the end, he'll walk away with the victory on the light champion. That is the first map. Still 2 to go. Obviously, we were saying they've got to give it their all here. Both of these players are fighting for survival, really. They're so close towards that relegation zone that they need to get wins under their belt. Preferably the 3-0 if you want to get the additional points and the additional cash off the back of it. And that's a rough way to start the series for ZenAku, Harry.
Yes, it's a bit of a statement. It's made a massive impact. Hopefully it's not been too much of a detriment on himself. But, you know, I've always been a fan of dramiS' Slash, and again, he's brought it to the table. The only time I've not been a fan is when he used it on Awoken, and it shouldn't really be in that way. But he did everything he needed to be done. He abused the movement, the speed to try and catch him off guard, and he done on so many different occasions. And the fact that 2100 nearly damage more, that's just absurd. It's very rare you see that, like almost double the damage. But ZenAku must be thinking, like, you know, like, what else can I do? Maybe was to kill a good pick on Ruins. You know, hopefully Ruins is not one of his better maps. But we're going to the maps now where it should more favour ZenAku. Arcade and Momentum is not in his favour after that first map because dramiS pretty much demolished him. But we've got Deep Embrace, and then we've got Awoken straight afterwards. So 2 maps he should be fairly pleasant with. dramiS will have to see what he can do. I've not really seen him too much on Deep Embrace, but if there's anything compared to what we witnessed in that last map, then it should be ridiculous.
Yeah, well, at least in terms of the next 2 maps, right? Deep Embrace and Awoken, they play very similarly in the sense that it is just all-out scrap. You will have a back-and-forth fight the whole time. It's the perfect arena for just letting either one of our competitors windmill until one of them's left standing at the end of it. I think dramiS definitely showing, though, that in terms of speed and aggression, he looked really confident going into that, right? Like, he was initiating so many of the fights. He was playing very commanding. That's the ideal way you want to play a map like Deep Embrace. You let him get in there. You let him just give it, Harry. This could be a second map being picked up pretty quickly.
Certainly will indeed. It's an absolute frag fest. It's definitely one of the highest fragging maps. We used to think Awoken was possibly, but Deep Embrace is definitely one of those maps holding that title. But what we're going to see from dramiS, you know, with ZenAku, we know he's very, very good on small geometric maps. And what we've seen so far in the past, if he can do the same on Deep Embrace, then he needs to do it now. He needs to tie things up. His Pro League lifeline is on the line at this moment in time. He doesn't want to go into relegation. Even though Max is a little bit ahead in points compared to dramiS and ZenAku, this is still going to give a massive helping hand, even if it is a 2-1 series scoreline. So a reverse sweep could definitely, you know, there's a shooter potential there for it because the maps are in his favour. But the way dramiS just played just now, like, I don't know. You know, he has been on form. I've seen the last 2 matchup in the previous couple of weeks, and he has been looking really good, really fresh. And even against really aggressive opponents such as Maxter, he seems to keep them in check and make sure that they don't go, you know, too overzealous on what kind of moves they want to make. So I am worried here for ZenAku, and, you know, if it is a 2-1 or 3-0 in favour of dramiS, I wouldn't be surprised here. But ZenAku needs to really change his mindset now, or that's it.
Yeah, we need to see the more classic ZenAku coming out, right? Let ZenAku just get in there, get a little bit Larry, absolutely give it. And I mean, in terms of the veto, at least, there is an opportunity for that. The next 2 maps play into his hand. That's why I thought it was actually a pretty good veto, in the sense that both of these competitors are damn good at just scrapping. They've got good gun skill. They always have done. Decision-making's been one of those added benefits that ZenAku's had under his belt for a long time. Hopefully, we'll see that coming out here now, as it seems like we are moving into deep embrace. We're ready to kick this one off. Second map in the series. dramiS, he picked up the opening map. However, we're going to be starting off on the POV of the main man himself, the Australian Athena, in play here for ZenAku. Takes the opening peak. That's a nice 90 landed. He doesn't get overconfident with this. Backs off, picks up that LG. He's got an extra bit of weaponry, extra bit of firepower in his arsenal. He's got his ears about him as well. Listens to exactly where dramiS is, tries to peek around him as he'll dance around the pole, but dips out of there, back over towards the heavy spawn. 2 seconds till that's up, and he hits the rocket. He's won control of the heavy and got a nice bit of chip damage off.
That's right, he got the unholy trinity very early, picks in that heavy, but he needs to back away ASAP. The beautiful rally from ZenAku, but dramiS is just that little bit better as he's looking for the spawn of ZenAku. ZenAku luckily took the 50-50 and went the right way. dramiS just holding his own for now. I didn't expect him to be on the top of that hill, but he's gone in with the Pika to feed himself more information. He did 15 damage, but he used it to see where he was going and what he could be up to. But dramiS decided to get the light, prioritise the mega. But it seems like ZenAku is just holding around bottom mid here. I think he's trying to make some predictions, but it's mispredicted here and there. But he does get the rail off too. Tries to catch him off guard, but the LG comes in, misses the rail. That would have taken dramiS down there. It won't anymore as he's taken back light. And dramiS is flying in with the LG, but looks like ZenAku is also just trying to fly away from top mid to get away from dramis's LG.
dramiS. Ooh. Would have been in a bit of a sticky situation if that shot actually hit. But luckily, he'll barely be able to evade it and keep himself into a good position. That one does land, though, dropping his health down quite a lot. We're coming up close towards the 2-minute mark. The 1 frag lead so far for dramiS. He is on the Strog and Pika, so he can make use of the drone, sends that in, but it's down to his firearms to finish off ZenAku. Good adjustment. Great transition there on to the LG as well. Puts ZenAku to bed once again. Surely not a follow-up off the spawn, though. Close towards the murder hole. He will massacre him and leave him as ZenAku giblet soup.
Oh, dramiS knew he was going to pick up that light. After ZenAku knew that dramiS was going to pick up the heavy, he prioritised the bottom light, but dramiS knew he was going to do that. He's been, again, a bit predictable. ZenAku needs to try and play the weight game a bit more, be a bit more cautious. The LG is beautiful for dramiS, but is he going to try and egg him on to push him out? But it looks like dramiS has prioritised the heavy again, and ZenAku is not looking in the best of spots. But has a rough idea on his location, as he does fire a few rockets on those health bubbles, but luckily for ZenAku, he got away with his life and decided to back away at the right moment. The tri-bolt comes in, feeds himself no information, but has enough now after he took that first rail shot from ZenAku, but had to let that Pika go in the end as ZenAku was flanking round, which was the right idea. The verticality was well abused there from ZenAku, but is he going to actually be able to take him down? The rail is just looking for it, and dramiS is only on 7 HP. But then again, ZenAku is also very weak, but he had the angle, didn't get him, but it's just missed him as he's going for the LG and missed him as he was going for that Mega 2. That was such a shame there from dramiS.
Oh, man. He was given the opportunities, but he's still got a lot done in this short space of time, right? We're just coming up close towards the 4-minute mark. He's already found 3 frags, shooting through the cracks in the floorboards as well, and the cracks are starting to show for ZenAku. Oh, hits him straight in the face, but ZenAku, he counters. Fights back and finally gets the pick on the board just as we hit 4 minutes. The 3-to-1 split. dramiS flying through the air. Oh, Pika. More like Frog being the one that's able to fly. He comes gliding in. Look at the rocket plays as well. Oh, mate, clip that one. That one's going in the frag movie, Harry.
It certainly is. He needs to have a day off at this point. I said it last map, but it looks like it's not actually letting off the gas at all throughout this game, throughout this entire series, shall we say. And dramiS having a little look around, having a little bit of a peek to see where he could be, but that was a huge chunk of damage there from that rocket. dramiS is head over heels. He's going to be looking for him. The LG comes in, and ZenAku's taken down once again. This is not looking good for ZenAku at all, and he's pinned him down, got no armor. He's probably going to go for the light. dramiS is going to be expecting it. He's looking around, but ZenAku's delayed it a bit more this time. Now he's gone for it, but realizing that it's not fair. He's already taken it from earlier, as he takes a small chunk of damage from that rocket. dramiS had a little bit of a slip up there with a jump up, but that doesn't matter. He's got a 6-1 lead, a huge stack, and the mobility just to add insult to injury here. And dramiS again gets the info he needs with the rocket, and he's just going to bait the Mega just for a little bit, just to delay it just so that he can see what's going on and try and overstack that Mega as much as possible. And look at this, he's just guarding the lights with his life, not giving dramiS any room to pick up any of the lights as well as the items. But look at this, ZenAku still holding his ground for that heavy, and it looks like he may have to give it up here as he gets that rail, and dramiS is on the hunt.
The Australian space program, as he goes flying towards Mars there. dramiS being the one so nicely to donate the rocket ship in the form of the rail. Spots him out as well, and these rails keep on coming, and they don't stop coming. He drops down, hits the ground running, and he's looking for another frag here, hunting him down. Close range encounter, tucks into the wall, pre-firing around with a rocket, commits to it with a peeker. Look how low they both are! The trade was on the horizon, but instead, it's a kill for ZenAku, barely. Somehow he's able to snatch that one away. Land the follow-up tag as well with a rail. Does a ton of damage, buckling the defenses of dramiS. Don't fall down the hole, he doesn't. He stays alive, at least for now, and gets the Mega. ZenAku is in a great spot here, and look how much he is giving it. If he frags out dramiS here, he's only got 3 frags to find, and he's still got 4 minutes to do it in. It would be huge! Oh, there it is, Harry! The rail arrives just in the nick of time.
Welcome to the series. ZenAku is already, he's on total form and annihilation the last few frags. You know, I think he has corrected a lot of his mistakes, and he's just gone, oh, do you know what, actually, I'm just going to give him my all now. I've had enough. I'm not going to think about, you know, how uncharismatic I'm being or predict I'm being. I'm just going to go for it. And he literally is. ZenAku's just giving it large, left, right, and center, and he doesn't even care anymore. And this is what I like about ZenAku. This is the plays I love from him. Not just the aggression or anything else like that, but the flanks he's making with the follow-up rail straight afterwards. He's pushing with the LG. He has a massive stack advantage in comparison to dramiS, but it's biding his time just a little bit too much. Guarding these lights with his life. Look at that, the LG comes in, the rocket done a chunk of damage, but he's going to follow up with the LG, and he's done that beautifully. Could be in for another close map here, as he's going to try and hit this first rail, but dramiS just manages to get away, as now ZenAku's contesting this heavy.
One frag. That's all he's got to find. It will tie up the scoreline. Leave it hanging in the balance. Spots out the back of dramiS there, but he pre-fired, not realizing that he's sent himself into that higher angle. ZenAku, luckily with the timing, will pick himself up a Mega, so it'll buff out all the damage he's taken, but he's taking so much more. dramiS fully commits on the swing, bounces his way out like a very aggressive murderous bunny rabbit, and commits to the frag. 7-5 now, as he puts himself back up with a leg up in the game. Wants to blow the legs off of ZenAku, smashing the Pika into his face, but he gets away. Here comes the LG, and he will slay from far away. dramiS, 8 frags on the board. Living the high life here, Harry. Oh my goodness.
Oh no.
It never ends. It never stops.
This is ridiculous. dramiS, you know, he was doing really well at the start. ZenAku was kind of showing a bit of life, a bit of flair into the game, and dramiS has gone, well, okay, you've had a little bit of fun, and now the rails again from dramiS. It's just absurd here, Jack. It's literally just non-stop. He just won't stop hitting these rails. Will he hit this one? Yes, he does. dramiS, you're an absolute madman. It should be illegal to some of the stuff you're doing with the rails here. As he's just looking for more. 11-5 now. He's looking to go for 12-5. The Pika doesn't come through, but the rail definitely does. dramiS, just stop. Please, stop.
He's already dead. He's murdered this man, and now he's just playing with his lifeless body. 12-5. He still wants more. Ooh. He stops, though. It looked like his mouse disconnected there for a second. After all that hype, it's a sudden lapse in concentration. But it doesn't matter. I mean, this game's in the bag. At this point, it's just his stomping ground to see how far he can take it and how much he can add insult to injury. Talking of injuries, ZenAku will be in the hospital for quite some time after that one. Somebody please alert the police. This is not okay.
He certainly will have to. With that standing still early, I think dramiS just needed the 2-second brain reset after everything he did and just take into account what happened. And what was that, Jack?
Mate, this is not acceptable behaviour. dramiS, what are you doing? Why is he just giving it so hard? He's just ruining his life, man. Oh, he wants to gauntlet him as well. Oh, it's just disgusting. It's over. He doesn't find his way to 15 kills, but all 14 of them were incredible. GG's dropped from either side. That was a crazy map. dramiS just, I mean, honestly, Harry, if you would have told me we were watching some Doom Eternal gameplay, I would have believed you, because he was just jumping around the map like it was an arena trying to fight for his life in some sort of horde survival. Frag after frag, dramiS just giving it hard.
1,063 damage more than ZenAku on a small map like that. The rails was just ridiculous. Was it 55% of his rails he hit compared to the 45%? It was just, yeah, you know, you're talking about a frag movie, the last map. That was a frag movie. I think out of all those clips, I think 5 of them could have been in the top 10. It was that ridiculous. From the Pika to the rocket jump to every single rail he was hitting during the second half of that map. It was just absurd. ZenAku showed some flair at one stage. When he was down 6-1, 6-2, he was really giving it. You know, even though it's been still quite predictable with the approach to the light armors at the bottom now and again, he was actually doing it at a faster pace and is feeling a lot more confident in his ability. Then all of a sudden, dramiS just went, no, I'm not, you know, you've had your fun, you know, you've had your game time, you've had your playground work, but no, you know, that's it, we've had enough now. And just returned another 8 frags, which was ridiculous to say the least. That is definitely a map you just have to watch back and just take it all in from there.
No, yeah, that was balmy. Like, it's absolute madness, right? He played so well going into that. It's one of those as well where you look at it and you think, like, it's not an easy feat. ZenAku's still a really talented opponent. It's not as if he's rocked into an easy game. This should have been a close affair, but dramiS just played out of his mind. The rails, the rockets, the LG adjustments, it was all just on point. You love to see it, and it was a true 101. The fact that he gave us a bit of drone racing in the middle as well, I mean, fair play. He's a multi-talented pro, Harry. It's not just arena FPS. He's good at drone racing as well. Little known fact about him.
Well, it could be a future drone race. Indeed, you never know here, Jack. See what dramiS is up to, but 14-5 on Deep Embrace. It's hard to separate yourself from your opponent in terms of that scoreline, but dramiS just made it look easy. And you're right, though. ZenAku is a very good and talented player. He's phenomenal, but dramiS just took him apart. And now I'm worried on Awoken. You know, ZenAku is very good on a map like Awoken, but what's dramiS going to do next? ZenAku, it just feels like every time he gets a little bit of momentum in his favour, even just a sprinkle, dramiS just shuts it down to no end. And the thing is, it's hard to predict what dramiS is going to do because he's at such a fast aggro pace.
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult. He's always got that height advantage, always got top mid, contesting the items like it's his day job. It's so difficult. And like I mentioned earlier, you know, with dramiS, I've noticed that, okay, during the start of the stage, he was playing really bad, like awful to a certain extent. And the last 2 matches, he's 3-0'd Dewey and I think Maxton. Maybe not over 3, I think it was like 2-1. But he is back on form. He's finally taking maps and series now. And what a time to do it as well. And we can see from there, he is definitely on form and on point.
Well, we've always known he's capable. Like, he's always been one of those players that I think both of us have spoken quite highly of in the past. Like, he is really talented. Yeah. It's just a shame that we haven't seen too much of it. You know, obviously this season around as well, I haven't been here as much, but the games that I have been able to keep up with dramiS, I haven't seen that same level of pizzazz. Past couple of games I've seen, though, it's been sick to actually see him living up to the hype. He's such a good player when it comes to just letting him play with speed and aggression, because he's crazy confident going into fights. And I'm glad we got to see that on Deep Embrace. I know he's good at Deep Embraces. That one, I mean, that's going to leave ZenAku wanting a hug after that encounter. But we move on. We get into Awoken. This is your last chance, Saloon ZenAku, to deny it being a 3-0 for dramiS. If he does not, dramiS will walk away with all the money and all of the fame from this matchup.
ZenAku's just waiting for dramiS to go for the telly, and one advantage he has, it's taken so much damage, and that was a great play from ZenAku, as he knew that at this moment in time, dramiS did not pick up any rockets, and he knew it would at some stage, so he baited him out and managed to pick it up nicely, but the heavy is up. It hasn't been taken yet. dramiS has noticed that, but it looks like ZenAku was going to go for it, pretended to go for the heavy, but instead backed away as the rockets come in. Some decent damage there, but the LG is just too much for dramiS.
It's 1-1 already. Looking like maybe we might have a bit more of a back and forth on Awoken compared to the carnage that occurred on Deep Great. dramiS on Galena, getting those totems down when possible. One more to put down, and at that point, he will have the overstack available to himself. Snatching a couple of hourgrasses on the way makes it far easier as well. Only 15 seconds till that's up. The Ranger of ZenAku does have access to the dial. Hasn't made use of it just yet. Looking to get enough damage off to be able to capitalize on a frag. Can't, Harry. Doesn't want to commit to that awkward fight as well. Where you're fighting over the lip. The odd shot here and there is going to leave you in a really rough spot. So instead backs off, rotates around close towards Banana, takes down one of the totems, fully commits to sliding his way into the second. The rocket's pulled out for dramiS, and he frags him out. It goes 2-1 as we're getting close towards the 2-minute mark on Awoken.
The fact that he actually bounced him into the totem as well just made matters worse. Oh, just barely misses that rail. That was a very difficult one anyway. I'm not too surprised that dramiS missed that, but it definitely hit that one as ZenAku's in the LG room. It has been, or just planned to teleport through, but he's got top mid control already straight away. dramiS knows that. He has the stack to fight him off it, but has realised that he's already backed off. 2 totems already up for dramiS. ZenAku is to fly around, be on his toes a little bit more to see where he could be going and try and take down these totems when possible. But a beautiful rocket there and a follow-up rail. That was lovely from dramiS.
That's a beauty as well. The rail's coming in, arriving just in the nick of time, and packing a punch. ZenAku wants to be sipping on the punch, though, if he can get himself a couple of kills and get back into this game. In the meantime, he's not finding too much, though. The odd bit of chip damage, but it's quickly recovered as dramiS, with the smooth moves, grabs the major items and does some major impact. Hitting that one rail denies ZenAku any opportunity to lurk around and wait for Mega to spawn in. He's got to backpedal out of there and sprint away for his life, Harry. dramiS really commanding the game so far on Awoken.
I love this from dramiS as well. Look at his totem positions. There's one near the Mega and there's one far back on the rail. He's left in there because of the fact that he's going to be hanging around that area for most of his game, especially when he contests the Heavy. He can contest the Mega from there too, but it's there just to feed him info, and also if he keeps in those positions, he can consistently overstack. And I think ZenAku's starting to realise this. I hope he has it anyway. But the rail comes in, he's going to look for the second. No, he just barely missed. And I think it was available at the time, I'm not 100%. But ZenAku needs to push into that rail area and start taking out these totems. He cannot give dramiS any more than an advantage with these overstacks.
Oh, man. 60% rail accuracy right now for dramiS. 50% on the card for ZenAku, the honorary Polish man. He is brought down. Oh, a horrible spot with his stack, but he's still fighting like he is fully stacked up, fully talked with some of the rails he's being able to land, making it much harder for dramiS. However, he gets the major items, and he's in a great spot, holding towards Banana. It's easy for the Potassium Punisher, as again, ZenAku is slain. dramiS back in the lead with a 2-frag advantage here, Harry.
Few missed nail jumps there from dramiS, but I'm sure that's not going to affect his mindset in any way. Lovely rocket's going to be jumping over to see if he can finish him off. That was a disgusting rail, and he finished him off at the second here, Jack. dramiS is definitely on form, and that's an understatement. He's got 2 totems down. A couple of them have finally been taken down, but those totems have been taken down 4 minutes too late. But it's the first opportunity that ZenAku has had to get into that rail area. That's what's so great about those totems. The fact that dramiS is not only keeping those totems up and recycling them and making sure that he keeps them in that area, but he's also contesting the rail at all times. Look at that! Oh, Jack, the hit scan accuracy from dramiS is absurd.
Mate, that was so smooth. Like, it's one thing to hit all of the quick flicks with the rail, right, over and over again. Right now, by the way, 90% accuracy. But it's another thing to be able to do that whilst also not missing a single tick of damage from your LG. Like, that's unreal. So well-rounded in terms of giving us a display of his weaponry prowess. Peeking over the ledge, though, giving the tri-bolt a little bit of love. Lovely rocket into rail transition. And ZenAku, he's got to get away. Sprints towards middle. He's going to be molding, Harry.
He's not missing, is he, at this moment? But he's still got a bit of time. Hits the first rail. Isn't going to go for the second as ZenAku's gone for the telly, but he could hit the second if he decides to go for that light. But he all comes in and takes himself out anyway. At least that's a frag back for ZenAku. It's a bit too late as he's going to try and contest the heavy. Will he be able to survive? No, he will not. ZenAku, he's trailing behind, but has actually got a few frags back, as dramiS has still got that 5-3 lead in favour, but hasn't really got any totems to work with here. He's only got one totem up. He's going to have a second soon, but not in the positions he'd like to have it.
Crazy bit is, right, as much as dramiS is absolutely giving it, and it is just the dramiS show, like, this game genuinely is still close. It's a 5-3 split, and ZenAku has the opportunity to get into the game. Hits that rail as dramiS is going up the bounce pad. He wasn't having a very good time on that trampoline. He will leave a negative review on TripAdvisor because he was slapped in the face by a rail. The pure beam of energy, leaving him so close towards death. ZenAku, he's built himself back up. Finally, he's got a competitive stack to work with here, whereas the same could not be said for dramiS. He's having to make do with whatever light items he can find. Scavenging the bits and bobs. Here comes ZenAku, though, with the underneath attack, looking like a Quentin Tarantino foot fetish as he fires into his feet and eventually kills him. Another frag going the way of ZenAku. We hit 8 minutes on the clock, Harry, and it is a 5-4. This is doable.
I couldn't have used a better analogy there, Jack, as I looked at those rails. Yeah. But as I say, dramiS at one point, out of 20 rails, he hit 70% of them. He's just, not only is he just not missing and just only firing cost-effective rails, but he's hit almost all of them at this moment. And it makes you wonder, what can ZenAku do here? But he's firing back. He's definitely bringing back. There's a beautiful orb, and I don't think dramiS was unsure of whether he was actually going to teleport through or not. But it doesn't matter, as he's back. ZenAku does have to stack and see if he can actually bring it back.
Not too much time left until we hit the 8-minute mark. At that point, you'll have 2 minutes left to play with. All the natural tools to win this game are available to ZenAku. And he's doing a great job of putting dramiS close to his demise. Fully commit over the lip. Here comes the LG. Zaps him up and slays him down. 5-5. The game is tied. It's doable. It's all on the line. But the next encounter comes quick. Turns the corner. The rocket barrage. But dramiS sent up. Bangs his head on the roof. He gets left concussed. And by the time he wakes up, he realizes ZenAku's taken the lead.
Look at this. ZenAku's doing exactly what I asked. He's going exactly all the areas of the map where he hasn't really been around much often and where dramiS has been hanging about most of the time. Clearing out all these totems and also just being an absolute thorn on the backside of dramiS. dramiS now is just missing a lot more of his shots. He's not as confident as he once was, but ZenAku definitely is. He's feeling it now. Maybe it's a bit late into the series, but he's showing a lot more flair than what we gathered in comparison to the last couple of maps. But the two totems there, if he manages to take him down other than those two totems, which he has done, this looks to be a game for ZenAku. To rail again. The talk is saying it's a dramiS show. ZenAku's made a slight appearance. And surely this is ZenAku's game to lose here, Jack.
Yeah, he's turned this into a crossover episode, Harry, because he has rocked up, the ratings are skyrocketing, and everyone's saying, wow, that new Australian character was incredible. He was so beautiful, but he also just hit crazy rails, and he's showing off. Again, dramiS keeps going up the bounce pad. It's the definition of insanity, but it's a far cry from him getting back into the game. Shotgun to the lips, surgery being done by Dr. ZenAku. 7-4, no time left. This one's over. Say goodbye to the 3-0 as you will be left with a 2-1 split on the scoreline as the Bunderblast will commit the final frag. 8-4 is the total tally for this one. That's a hell of a map, Harry.
That was a brilliant series from both players. Let's be honest, I don't think either two of us actually expected him or even ZenAku in that matter to even come back. dramiS showed so much map presence at the start. Yeah. Actually, during the entire first half, and ZenAku just turned on. If he turned on like that the entire time, it would have been a completely different story. That's just proof and signs that he's unsure of himself. And then there's other moments where it's like, do you know what? I'm just going to play my own game. I'm not going to try and think too, methodical or calculated in any way. And it works for him. He plays a lot faster and put dramiS off guard on so many different occasions. This is the ZenAku I want to see every single series or every single map for that matter. Not just hear it, now and again, just seeing bits and pieces of the flair which ZenAku loves to bring.
Mate, that's genuinely why I said, like, this for me was one of the games of the night. Like, I know you'll get a lot of people that will probably look at it and think, oh, they've both had a bit of an off season. It's not going to be great. But they're both really talented. Like, they've had so much to show. The level of improvement we've had over the year from ZenAku has been unreal when you think about it. The amount of risks this man's taken as well to further his pro career. But dramiS, a lot of those attributes are also mirrored. He is really strong when it comes to speedy, aggressive, flashy Quake. And he gave us a 101 of that throughout this series. It's just the fact that ZenAku, he decided to turn up for a bit of the pie towards the end and turn it into a great final map. Like, it was the dramiS show for the first two, but this final piece of the puzzle was beautiful. This is the sort of map that you want to go back, you want to watch it back, you want to look at the demo, and you'll see so much you can add to your playstyle.
The fact that at one stage, dramiS, he fired 20 rail shots and hit 14 of them, a 70% accuracy is just absurd. He only hit 53% overall, but that's perfectly fine. You know, like, what more do you want? Especially with all the drive-bys he was doing, and the amount of times he caught ZenAku off guard was just ridiculous. But dramiS, I can see why from the previous two matchups. I had a feeling that if he's on form now, then he's going to continue to be on form in this next series, and he has been. It's a little bit late to the pie, but he's done exactly what Cooler's done. You know, yeah. Cooler, he kind of came a little bit late to the stage. He's now 3-0 in everyone, and you could say that now that dramiS is doing almost the exact same thing. The last few matchups, he desperately needed to win, especially against Maxter, because Maxter's also in 8th place in the Americas region and took him down, I think it was 2-1 or 3-0. I'm not sure exactly, but he definitely took him down in that series anyway. So he's making progress, but is it enough to come out of relegation? We'll have to wait and find out.
Yeah, and something we're going to have to wait to get into, Harry, is the game you've just foreshadowed. Cooler will be up on your screens next, going head-to-head versus ZenAku, the Maestro Madman himself. Don't go anywhere, guys. This is genuinely going to be a big certified anthem of a game. So keep it locked. We're back in with ZenAku taking on Cooler after the break.